Hello, I'm Justin Largo, and my proposal is called Using Yoga to Improve Single Leg Balance as a UCL Injury Prevention Technique in High School Baseball Players. Okay, so I'm just going to introduce what the UCL is and what the injury is like, go over the literature that's been done on UCL injuries, and then talk about the methods for my proposed study, and then questions. So how did I decide on this topic? I played baseball all my life, and my younger brother is currently a pitcher for his high school team. So baseball is something that I already know some about. And this picture here is a physical therapy clinic that I interned at. And at this clinic, a lot of focus was put on preventing injury through improving balance and stability, including one particular patient who had, it was actually a shoulder injury, but he was a baseball player. So I thought it was interesting that they were working on his balance when his injury was in his shoulder. So the UCL is the ulnar collateral ligament. It's located on the inside of the elbow. You can see in that picture circled right there. A lot of tension gets put on that ligament with proper pitching mechanics. The popular name for the UCL reconstruction surgery is Tommy John surgery. Most people have heard about that. So the problem here is there are ways to prevent UCL injuries, but a lot of them are ignored by players and coaches because it can result in some short-term success. So ideally, the risk factors for UCL injuries can be avoided in high school baseball. In reality, the number of UCL reconstruction surgeries appears to be increasing, especially in young baseball players. One solution could be to decrease UCL injury risk by increasing their single leg balance through yoga. And the purpose of this study is to determine yoga's effectiveness for UCL injury prevention in high school baseball players. So these risk factors, these are ones that have been studied already, and there's a lot of literature on them. So it can be overuse, whether that's seasonal or in one event. It can be just throwing at a high velocity, or starting throwing breaking pitches such as curveballs at a young age. So these factors, these are known that you can reduce overuse, not throw over 80 miles per hour as often, and avoid throwing breaking pitches, but this could also lead to not as well of performances in pitching. A lot of times, the best pitcher in high school is the one that can throw the hardest. They like to throw that pitcher more often. And sometimes pitchers can even play for multiple teams at the same time. And those teams don't want to share the pitch count with each other, so they both pitch the pitchers often. And how balance relates to UCL injuries. One study recruited healthy and unhealthy, which is UCL tears, pitchers, high school and college age, and they looked at just physical differences between them. And one of the big ones was their Y balance test. And the injured pitchers showed a decreased Y balance test, a composite score of 85, where the healthy ones showed an average of 94 as the composite. So this is the Y balance test. It's just 3 directions measuring the distance you can go in each direction. And then the total score is the average direction you can go divided by your leg length, which is essentially knee to ankle. So when I say 94 is the score, it's they can reach 94% of their leg length in those directions. So this study looked at yoga and its effect on balance specifically. This was done with young, healthy adults, average age of 29, 8 weeks long, 3 sessions per week of a Bikram yoga intervention. And what they concluded was that there was significant improvement in single leg balance after the 8 weeks. They did the Y balance test, and they also did timed single leg stance with eyes open and with eyes closed. Okay, so for my study, the independent variable would be the yoga program that I'm implementing. It would consist of 15 postures, performed twice each, so 30-minute total if you do 1 minute per posture. The dependent variables that will be measured are their Y balance scores, pre and post intervention, and the injury occurrence throughout the season. Participants are total 480 high school pitchers. So I recruit 30 high schools, have two JV and varsity teams per school, and then average of 8 pitchers per team. Yeah, so the measurements that will be taken is the Y balance test performed in person at the beginning of the season and then at the end of the season. And then injury incidents will be reported by the coaches throughout the season for their own players. These are the poses. So there's 11 plus downward dog, 3-legged dog, bird dog, and child's pose. So the coaches for each team will be recruited and given this routine and taught how to use it on their athletes. So it'll be 8 weeks long is the average high school baseball season, and we'll do this 5 times per week for those 8 weeks. For the data analysis, dependent t-tests will be used to compare within the same group, and then independent t-tests can be used to compare between the control and experimental groups. And the more I thought about it, I don't think an ANOVA would be necessary. I think a t-test would be good enough because there's not a lot of data being gathered. It's just number of injuries and their Y balance score. So for my hypothesis, I think that the intervention group will show a significant decrease in UCL injuries compared to the control. And I think I'm more confident in saying that the Y balance scores will improve for the experimental group than the control. Some implications for this study would be a new method of reducing UCL injury risk that doesn't involve removing things from their training or from competition. So they won't, in theory, they won't have to reduce their pitch count or their velocity on their fastball. They could just add this yoga routine in, which would be more likely to be adapted to the training. And yeah, could prove to maintain healthy young athletes. Questions?
All right. Questions for Mr. Vargo, please. Jeff.
So you had a large participation group. How would you ensure consistency between the different groups, like once they're subdivided in their different teams?
That would be hard. It would be up to the coaches to make sure the players are doing the yoga routine. I guess you could spot check them throughout the season, but a high number of participants like that is going to be necessary for measuring injury over a season because you could end up with 0. You could have 0 injuries. So I would want even more than that, really, but that seems likely to be able to be done.
Other questions? Dalton?
Kind of like going off the participants a little bit. So like 8 pitchers like per team, like varsity and varsity. Like there's obviously, I really haven't played a lot of baseball, but you know, each team seems to have like their horse pitcher that they like rely on a lot. And obviously there's probably some pitchers that pitch a lot more.
Yeah.
I think like there'd be like a requirement that you should almost like indicate like they pitch a certain amount before like involving them in the study, since like UCLA or UCL like injuries tend to happen with like a lot of overuse and stuff like that. You think like
Yeah, that is a good point. I do think pitch count should be something that's tracked, and Because it could be looked at too, saying like who throws way too many and who throws not enough to be included. So that could be a good exclusion criteria, would be maybe not enough pitches per week in competition.
Will you go back to your the diagram of the different positions? So looking at number 6, do you think some of these will be too difficult for some people? I mean, that looks pretty intense. Not gonna lie, I couldn't do it.
No. That's a good point.
There's no way I'm doing that.
I took these poses directly from this study here that showed the balance improvements in young adults.
Are there like?
I mean, I think it would be a good idea to modify some of these poses. That one mainly, I think the rest are doable.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously that one I looked at immediately. I was like, there's no way my leg's getting.
On the ground. I'm in no way an expert on yoga, but I believe that all yoga poses are modifiable by their nature. So it's designed to be, that would be
The
the
expert
expert
level,
level,
yeah.
whereas merely, standing on one leg is essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you might need a yoga instructor instead of a baseball coach.
Yeah. Probably.
Talk a little bit about number 8. It's pretty good.
Number 8.
Head on the ground. There's no way.
You can do it.
Your legs are so far apart.
Other questions? Noah?
Okay, so it's not, this isn't Bikram yoga, right? I was just wondering if you had a specific.
I think that was Bikram.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this study was Bikram yoga, and I took those directly. I think the Bikram yoga in the study was like 90 minutes long
Yeah.
total. It was like was it in a hot thing studio too? Maybe, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was just
Getting
wondering
a
if you
yes.
were putting them in a warm environment like
No,
Bikram
I'm
was
just taking these positions and like
Okay.
doing it on the field or whatever.
Yeah, I just wanted to know.
Yeah.
Other questions? So, I think, are you looking for the indicators of UCL, or do they have to, in other words, how will you know that this was successful? I agree with the large sample size, you're gonna have to have a large sample size. But the idea of your study is to prevent a UCL injury, correct? That's the purpose of it. Obviously, you don't wanna have that, I mean, that's not, if your study is successful, you wouldn't have a UCL injury. So what are you going to look for to see if this is unsuccessful, I guess, because if you go through even 1,000 participants and nobody comes up with a UCL injury, does that mean it's because they did the yoga, or it's because you just happen to have a group that was lucky and didn't get it? I mean, so, or are you looking for instances of inflammation and soreness and pain, or,
Yeah.
kind of give me an idea of what's a failure of the study, what's a person look like who did not do well?
Sure. It would be, I wouldn't want to modify anything that the coaches were already doing. I want to leave that all the same.
Right.
If a player experiences pain and is out when they should be pitching, that would be considered an injury. I think.
Okay. So it's any injury, not just
Yeah.
UCL type, I mean,
I-
UCL related, I guess, but
Yeah.
not necessarily.
I wanted to keep it specific to UCL, but I don't think, maybe you might only get a couple. So maybe any arm injury, that arm pain that prevents them from pitching could be counted for both groups.
Other questions? All right, let's give Margo a round of